It was a warm and humid Friday afternoon in Elkhorn, a western suburb of Omaha, Nebraska. Roger Slatten had just left for work when he got a phone call that would change his life. A large tornado was spotted near his home in Elkhorn, and he needed to get to safety, his friend urged on the other line. Roger immediately turned his vehicle around and raced towards the home he shared with his wife Lindy and brother Royce. At the time, his wife Lindy was at work, but Roger's brother Royce was home alone with their 2 dogs. Roger called ahead to his brother and told him to grab their 2 dogs and get to the basement. Roger quickly pulled into the driveway and ran inside, but neither brother made it to the basement in time. Just 1 minute later, a tornado with at least 170 mile-per-hour winds ripped the brothers out of their home and reduced it to rubble. In an instant, their home and almost 200 other homes in the Omaha area were completely destroyed by an over mile-wide violent tornado. In the days leading up to the 26th, forecasters around the U.S. were taking note of a possible trough that could bring multiple bouts of severe weather to the central United States. A trough is an elongated region of relatively low atmospheric pressure. Their motion induces upper-level wind divergence, lifting and cooling the air ahead of the trough and helping to produce conditions possibly conducive for severe weather. In addition to the prospects of a trough, the Gulf was sending extremely moist air northward into the plains in central U.S. As a result, the dew points were expected to be into the upper 50s and lower 60s. This extremely moist air mass, in combination with the potent trough, gave an extremely strong signal towards potentially significant severe weather over the central United States. As a result, by April 23rd, a large 15% risk zone was issued, stretching from the eastern Great Plains to the mid-Mississippi Valley. And by the Day 1 outlook, a 10% risk of potentially significant tornadoes was issued for a vast portion of the central United States. On April 26th, morning convection was expected through the morning, with the severe weather threat almost completely relying on its ability to move out of the area and allow for clearing to destabilize the atmosphere. However, as the morning went on, it became increasingly obvious that the morning convection would leave the area in time. In fact, it was much ahead of schedule, allowing substantially more clearing for environmental destabilization. When you see clear skies, you tend to think of calm and fair weather, especially on a warm spring day. However, on a severe weather day, this clearing allows the environment to rapidly improve. Most notably, clear skies can allow for increased CAPE values. CAPE, or convective available potential energy, is a measurement of instability of the atmosphere which leads to explosive thunderstorm development. In addition to the rising CAPE values, the low-level winds were primed for tornadoes, with extremely curved hodographs likely to be present throughout the warm sector, allowing for numerous rotating supercells. Hodographs are a measure indicative of a shift in wind speed with height that allows for the development of rotating thunderstorms. Curved hodographs are often associated with significantly higher tornado probabilities. Another noteworthy feature of the April 26th system was the compact and mobile nature of the warm sector. Overall, the region where tornadoes were likely was small, but the environment moved itself with the storms, which allowed for numerous hours of continual tornadic supercells. The area right along the triple point, or area where 2 or more boundaries intersect with a low-pressure system, was the main focal point for the event. Increased 3 CAPE and vorticity present in triple points allowed for substantially more low-level spin needed to produce tornadoes. As the potential for severe weather continued to increase, the Storm Prediction Center released a tornado watch for northeastern Nebraska, noting the chance for a few intense tornadoes. The stage was set for a potentially significant tornado outbreak, and the Omaha Metro was directly in the bullseye. By around 1 p.m., the environment had met convective temperatures and supercells began firing along the dry line in southeastern Nebraska. The convective temperature is the approximate temperature that air near the surface must reach for cloud formation. Rapidly, multiple isolated supercells formed in the open warm sector. As the southernmost cell moved northeast, it began to become tornadic. The first tornado from this supercell was a highly photogenic tornado in the northeast portion of Lincoln, Nebraska, causing EF3 damage and collapsing a manufacturing plant with 70 people inside. Fortunately, nobody inside was seriously injured or killed. As the supercell continued its trek northeastward, it produced another EF1 tornado southeast of Waverly, then another west of Greenwood, soon after the Waverly tornado. The supercell then continued northward, inching further north along with the drying line. Another EF1 tornado formed onto the cell just west of Ashland, but quickly lifted. Around this time, a mesoscale discussion was issued highlighting the increasing potential for significant tornadoes in the Omaha to Nebraska City corridor. As the supercell inched closer and closer to the western suburbs of Omaha, it began to strengthen once again, only this time it was significantly worse. At approximately 3:30 p.m., a tornado formed south of West Q Road near the Platte River and traveled northeastward, damaging trees and a farmstead at EF0 to EF1 intensity. The tornado then rapidly intensified to EF2 strength, damaging numerous homes, including one that was completely unroofed. The tornado then ruined multiple acres of cropland, damaged numerous outbuildings, and shredded a grain silo. At 3:38 p.m., a tornado emergency was issued once it became clear that a destructive tornado was ongoing, with another one being issued for locations further to the northeast around 3 minutes later. A tornado emergency is an enhanced version of the tornado warning, which is used by the National Weather Service in the United States during imminent, significant tornado occurrences. Crossing US 275, the tornado struck several more acres of cropland and damaged multiple homes at EF1 to EF2 intensity. The tornado then weakened as it crossed 234th Street, where it damaged a horse farm and a home at EF1 intensity. As the tornado crossed the Elkhorn River southeast of Waterloo, it caused EF0 to EF damage once again. As the tornado entered the Omaha neighborhood of Elkhorn, it rapidly became violent, leveling a home. This home's damage was initially rated as EF3, but was later upgraded to EF4, citing that a substantial portion of the home had been swept away, and nearby trees were snapped with some debarking noted. Around this time, Roger Slatten had just left for work when his phone rang. According to his friend, a large tornado was spotted near his home in Elkhorn, and he needed to get to safety, fast. Roger immediately turned his vehicle around and raced towards his home he shared with his wife Lindy and brother Royce. At the time, his wife Lindy was at work, but Roger's brother Royce was home alone with their 2 dogs. Roger frantically called ahead to his brother and told him to grab their 2 dogs and get to the basement. Roger quickly pulled into the driveway and ran inside, but neither brother made it to the basement in time. Just over 1 minute later, a tornado with at least 170-mile-per-hour winds ripped the brothers out of their home and reduced it to rubble. After ravaging the community of Elkhorn, the tornado then damaged multiple businesses before moving into the Ramblewood subdivision, where it was approximately 0.7 miles in width. As the tornado entered the Ramblewood subdivision, another resident, Zach Hinkle, was hunkered down in his basement with his parents when the tornado hit their home, causing the walls and second-story floor to cave in. He recounts, "Somehow that wall stopped coming down. It just stopped and rested on something. I don't know what. It's a miracle. If it would have come down, it would have crushed us to death." Hinkle said that a CT scan later that night revealed that his T12 vertebrae was broken. Fortunately, his parents made it out nearly unscathed, and his 2 teenage sons, 14 and 18, were both safe at school. The tornado had weakened slightly, but remained at high-end EF3 intensity as it struck the subdivision, where it damaged or destroyed numerous homes with winds up to 155 miles per hour. Many homes were left almost completely flattened, with other homes collapsing after being shifted off their foundations. Continuing northeast, the tornado again became violent as it struck multiple homes along Fowler Street and Larimore Avenue. 2 homes along Larimore Avenue that were newly built and newly anchored with nails and anchor bolts to a steel plate were leveled and swept away. Damage at these homes were initially rated mid-range EF3, but was up to low-end EF4 in the reanalysis. Other homes in this area were also leveled or had some or all of their exterior walls knocked down. The tornado then crossed 4th Street and struck another subdivision at EF3 strength, damaging several new homes, including one home that had all of its exterior walls knocked down and a newly built home that was completely leveled. After leaving the subdivision, the tornado grew to almost a mile wide. The tornado then narrowed to half a mile wide and weakened to EF1 strength as it continued northeastward, snapping trees and damaging roofs of outbuildings and homes. The tornado then reached EF2 intensity again southwest of Bennington, unroofing homes and snapping trees in the residential area. The tornado then continued northeastward and once again intensified to high-end EF2 intensity as it struck another development along Newport Landing Lake to the west of Bennington. Homes in this area suffered extensive damage with roofs removed and exterior walls knocked down. Power poles and trees were snapped. After crossing the lake in Highway N36, the tornado continued at EF1 intensity before moving into Washington County. As the tornado entered Washington County, it once again strengthened to EF3 strength, where an unanchored home was shifted entirely off its foundation and destroyed, with nearby trees snapped and debarked. Unfortunately, on this property, a flatbed and horse trailers were lofted by the tornado, killing at least one horse and injuring several others. After crossing Highway N133, the tornado rapidly intensified and became violent for the third time as it impacted small neighborhoods to the south of Blair. Here, several homes were completely destroyed, including some that were swept from their foundations. However, these homes were either unanchored or poorly anchored, and the damage was rated high-end EF3 with winds of 165 miles per hour. However, multiple homes received a low-end EF4 rating in their reanalysis. As it continued northeastward out of Blair, several 50-foot tank cars at the Cargill plant were derailed. The tornado then crossed the Missouri River into Iowa, producing EF0 damage to trees as it moved northeastward. As the tornado crossed US 30, it continued displaying EF1 level strength. Then, at 4:31 p.m., the tornado finally turned north and dissipated south of Mondale, Iowa, after being on the ground for approximately 61 minutes, traveling 32.5 miles and reaching a maximum width of 1,900 yards, or just over 1 mile wide. Although 4 people were reportedly injured by the tornado, there were likely numerous injuries that were unaccounted for. Miraculously, there were no fatalities in this tornado, which stands as a testament to how far the National Weather Service's early warning systems have come. The Elkhorn tornado was the strongest of almost 80 tornadoes that on April 26 occurred as part of a significant, widespread tornado outbreak in the central United States. This outbreak was one of the most widespread and significant tornado events during 2024, which was already an extremely active and above-average year for tornadoes in the U.S. The damage throughout the western suburbs of Omaha was immense, with an estimated 200 homes being completely destroyed and almost 1,000 being at least minorly impacted by the mile-wide tornado. Even as early as 3 months later, numerous homes had started the rebuilding process. Multiple news outlets have reported significant improvements in the damaged areas, with building permits being given out and construction being started. Numerous charity organizations and citywide recovery efforts help support the devastated community. In addition, multiple GoFundMe pages were set up to receive donations to support the community. As we near the 1-year anniversary of the devastating tornado, the community has rebounded substantially, but even with recovery efforts, the lasting effects of a mile-wide violent tornado will stay with the community forever. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. These videos take a very long time. Obviously, I'm in a new spot here. This is one of the recording studios on Truman State campus, so I'm kind of just trying it out, seeing how you guys like it. Should be a lot higher quality audio stuff. Obviously, I haven't done any of the editing yet, but I'm really hoping that it turns out a lot better than the last one, audio quality-wise, because I'm using my own microphone, but I'm considering buying my own new one, especially for this summer, but we'll have to see how it goes. But this room's soundproof and everything. It's great. The camera thing's all fun. So I'm going to keep using this room while I'm here for the rest of the year, but I leave early May, so I won't, any documentaries made after then will be using my old stuff, unless I buy something new, which, you know, you guys can support me if you want to leave any tips or anything else. I really appreciate all that. Channel members also are really important. They help support my mission here and everything with storm chasing and also making these documentaries. But really, I just like for you guys to like and subscribe. You know, that helps me out too. You don't need to give any money. Just liking, subscribing, sharing, all that different things really help support the channel. But if you're interested, becoming a channel member can really help support, and you get to see the behind-the-scenes information on this stuff. I'm obviously, if you are a channel member already, you probably will already have seen some of the videos from this being posted. But if you're not, please consider becoming one. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.